Good evening, folks. My name is Bezina Mosiashvili, your host for tonight. Tonight on the Daily BAAS Buzz, we will be taking a look at Alberta teen charged after cattle stolen using fake paperwork. Georgia father sentenced to 15 years in deadly school shooting committed by son. Evacuation orders expanded around Clinton as over 100 BC wildfires continue to burn. France, Spain, Greece, and battle wildfires that have forced hundreds and thousands to flee. Trump threatens to pull Attorney General nomination as a standoff to Congress. World reacts with caution, optimism to Hamas Disarmament Agreement. And finally, we will be taking a look at the migrant crisis in Spain. But folks, before we do any of that, let's take a look at the bees and see what they're doing. Let's give the bees some food. Everybody comment, feed the bees. If you want to see the bees get some food, let's feed the bees. All right, the bees are getting some food right now. All right. Oh, look at them go. They're really liking it. Let's see if we can get another squirt there. I'm kind of covering them up. Let's get just the bees view. Oh, what the heck? What the heck is going on here? Don't know much about mystery. All right, folks. There we go. The bees are being fed. They're doing great. I extracted some honey from them. It's 28 degrees with 35% humidity here in Calgary. Now, let's move on to the main story of the day. The rapid swarm update. First, let's make this camera person smaller. I don't know why it's so big. All right. Alberta teen charged after cattle stolen using fake paperwork. Mounties have charged a teenager after cattle were stolen, then used and sold fake paperwork. The RCMP say they received a report that 5 longhorn cows have been taken from pasture in Eden Valley area, about 100 kilometers southwest of Calgary near Longview. RCMP worked with livestock inspectors and found several suspicious cattle sales linked to one person. Investigators say the suspect sold the cattle at auction markets in Fort Macleod and Picture Butte and used documents that appear to be fake. Police also discovered some of the names listed on the bills of sale could not be confirmed, and the actual owner of the cattle had not approved any of the sales. The police have charged an 18-year-old southern resident, Colin Starling, with 2 counts of cattle theft, 2 counts of trafficking stolen property, and 3 counts of uttering forged documents. He is scheduled to appear in court in Diamond Valley in August. Georgia father sentenced to 15 years in deadly school shooting committed by son. Colin Gray's sentence comes after his son was sentenced to life in prison for 2024 shooting. A man who gave his son the gun he used to kill 2 students and 2 teachers at an Apalachee High School in Georgia, was sentenced to Thursday in 15 years. Colin Gray's sentencing comes days after his son, Colton Gray, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Shooting at the school is 70 kilometers northeast of Atlanta. Colton Gray had pleaded guilty to murder and other charges. Judge Nicholas Prim, who also sentenced Colton Gray earlier this year, was blunt in the addressing Colin Gray. It is clear you failed as a parent, but he said punishing crimes of negligence is particularly hard because there was no intent to commit crime. My heart aches for everyone that that day and for all that have been impacted by it. The elder Gray is one of a handful of American parents who have been criminally charged after church children were accused in shooting. Evacuation orders expanded around Clinton as over 100 BC wildfires continue to burn. More than 30 evacuation orders in place across BC. I'm just going to, before we read this article, I'm going to just take a quick look how it's going. All right. Hundreds more properties around Clinton, BC were put under evacuation order Friday morning as Pierre Lake wildfire continues to burn out of control. A new order from Caribou Regional District covers 366 land parcels, while an expanded order from Thompson Nickel Regional District adds another 536 address properties to nearly 600 already under order. The Pierre Lake wildfire, which has also prompted evacuation of Clinton and 70 Mile House, had scorched more than 732 square kilometers as of Friday. In Thursday update, BC Wildfire Service widespread warming and drying conditions were expected to continue throughout the long weekend, particularly in south parts of BC, raising the wildfire risk. Yes, it's been very smoky here in Alberta. And more wildfire news. France, Spain, and Greece battle wildfires that have forced hundreds of thousands to flee. The latest firefighters are battling major wildfires across Europe, including UK, Spain, France, Greece, and Turkey. Hundreds of thousands have been forced to flee, though France gave the go-ahead today for 84,000 evacuees to return home. The residents of coastal community of La Porge were among those assessing the damage, telling CBC News the randomness of the destruction was like a lottery. Firefighters make progress in Europe, but new fires and extreme heat persist. I'm going to take a look at this video.
Now, in Europe, wildfires continue to scorch their way across the continent with the added danger of a new heat wave. A powerful new flare-up is raging in northwestern Spain. The fire is burning out of control along a border region with Portugal. Emergency crews have created, or rather ordered, people in 14 communities to leave their homes. Meanwhile, in other parts of Spain and France, authorities are giving the go-ahead for thousands of evacuees to return to their homes. And this is what they're coming home to. On the outskirts of Madrid, you can see charred vehicles and burnt-out homes. The CBC's Nala Ayed is covering the wildfire.
And as you can see, folks, yeah, it's a very destructive fire. And no, it's not our final. Trump threatens to pull Attorney General nomination standoff with Congress escalates. President Donald Trump threatened on Thursday to withdraw until next year his nomination of Todd Blanchett to serve as U.S. Attorney General, escalating a standoff with Senate Republicans who have objected to proposed anti-weaponization fund that could benefit his allies. The dispute highlighted Trump's weakening grip on Congress controlled by his own party, but it does not affect the tenure of Blanchett, who continued to head the Justice Department as acting general. Republican Senators John Cornyn and Tom Tillis have held up Blanchett's nomination while seeking written assurances that Justice Department will not set up $1.8 billion anti-weaponization program. Trump critics have derided it as a slush fund to reward supporters with taxpayer money. Cornyn and Tillis met with Blanchett together with 45 minutes late Thursday afternoon to try to salvage the confirmation vote. According to a person familiar with the matter, the person seeking on the condition of the anonymity said the two sides are working collaboratively, are closer to an agreement, and Blanchett answered questions about a proposed resolution. World reacts with caution optimism to Hamas disarmament agreement. Palestinian group Hamas has announced that it has agreed to deal aimed at fully ending Israel's war on Gaza, which has inflicted death and destruction on the enclave for nearly 3 years. The agreement, which was confirmed on Thursday and Friday by United States and other mediators, requires Hamas to make provisions to disarm and surrender its weapons in stages. Meanwhile, Israel would withdraw its forces. The agreement was announced late on Thursday by President Donald Trump after a U.S.-led Board of Peace and International Stabilization Force for Gaza announced that mediators from Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, and U.S. had finalized a roadmap for moving on to the next phase of ceasefire. The truce was deal struck last October but failed to halt hostilities, albeit the violence has scaled back. And now for our final Hive report of the day. Before we do that, it will be hundreds of rally in Madrid against migrant invasion in Spain. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the bees. Again, they're really favoring this left side of the feeding bowl. We got to figure that out why. Let's give them another little feed. Let's feed the bees. Feed the bees. Comment, feed the bees. Feed the bees. Let's feed the bees. Okay, there we go. We got the bowl is all full. It's spilling out on the side here. On the other side. Fill the bees. All right. Now for the main Hive report of the day. Hundreds rally in Madrid against migrant invasion in Spain. Live updates here. Let's now take a look at this video.
Military to Ceuta. After tens of thousands of people breached Morocco's border, take a look. Deployed military to Ceuta. Spain has deployed military to Ceuta. After tens of thousands of people breached Morocco's border, take a look. New estimates say 60,000 migrants have crossed into the enclave in the last 24 hours. The crowd is believed to have been attempting a mass rush toward the border. At least 34 people are dead. We've got a live look, I understand. I haven't seen this yet. So here's a live look right now. This is Ceuta. EU leaders in Spain, France, and Germany are demanding Morocco take back the illegal migrants immediately. France also says it is ready to help Spain tackle the sudden influx of people. This region is the EU's only land border with Africa.
There you have it, folks. Within last 24 hours, more than 50,000 migrants have entered Spain's Ceuta enclave on North African coast from Morocco, according to autonomous city presidents. Most of the people have crossed the border by land and sea are heading back voluntarily. Meanwhile, dozens were reported dead. A Spanish representative in the enclave said 57 bodies were recovered on the Spanish side and there could be more in Morocco. Some drowned and some were crushed while trying to climb the border fence. Spain deployed its military in an attempt to maintain security in the city of Ceuta. The government said the country's interior minister said around 50,000 people have crossed the border since Thursday morning. An estimated 48,000 had returned. Hundreds of anti-migrant protesters rallied outside Morocco's embassy in Madrid on Friday evening to denounce what they called a migrant invasion of Spain's North African enclave. Several protesters performed Nazi salutes, some openly and without covering their faces. Many protesters were wearing entirely black and were chanting Spain, Christian, and not Muslim, and national unity, an APF journalist at the site said. Some demonstrators carried large banner reading remigration, a term promoted by several far-right groups in Europe that refers to forced or encouraged return of migrants or people of immigrant background. Others waved Spain's red and yellow flags and called for the defense of the Spanish identity. 57 bodies recovered on the Spanish side. More than 48,000 migrants have returned to Morocco, minister says. More than 48,000 migrants have now returned, Spanish Interior Minister said on Friday. As of 6 p.m., 48,300 migrants had gone back to cross the border, the minister said. Encouraged human trafficking, Italian foreign minister. Right-wing parties around the continent blamed this incident on Spain's comparatively lax migration laws, including amnesty granted to hundreds and thousands of unauthorized migrants this year. Spain summoned the Italian ambassador to protest earlier comments by Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani, who claimed Spain's amnesty policy had encouraged human trafficking. U.S. President Donald Trump, a longtime critic of Spain's socialist-led government, told a cabinet meeting Ceuta crossings look like an invasion, adding that same thing's going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected, except worse, referring to the upcoming midterm elections. Diplomatic tensions. Morocco does not recognize Spanish sovereignty over Ceuta and other Spanish enclave Melilla, characterizing the territories both in Spanish hands for several centuries as occupied. Relations between Madrid and Rabat have improved in recent years after Spain backed Morocco's autonomy plan for Western Sahara, a territory claimed by Morocco but also sought as independent state by the Algerian-backed Polisario Front. However, Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's visits Algeria earlier this month was not viewed positively in Rabat, said Amir Fernandez, director of Center for Contemporary Arab Studies in Madrid. Spain's Congress also recently approved a bill granting Spanish nationality to the descendants of Sahrawis, a move which experts say likely angered Morocco. One way of handling this is to send a not very subtle message, Amir Fernandez said. Morocco's government has not responded to multiple requests for comment on the crossing. Spanish PM tells EU leaders this is not a time to divide. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez under fire from some of his peers in the EU over the influx of migrants in Ceuta, said Friday, this is not the time to divide. Italy will not stand by, Meloni criticizes Spain. Italian Prime Minister Giorgio Meloni on Thursday said Spain should be suspended from the Schengen area and the EU's visa-free travel zone, as she called the images from Ceuta shocking in Italian language posted on X. I have spoken with Interior Minister Matteo Pianodizio. Italy will not stand by and watch, Meloni wrote. Spain blasted Italy's demagoguery and summoned the country's ambassador to Madrid to lodge a protest. But on Friday, Finland backed Italy's call, while Denmark said the EU should consider such move. It goes without saying that EU must immediately take all necessary measures in consideration all options, including suspension of Schengen cooperation, Danish Prime Minister Frederiksen said. Countries that do not fulfill their obligation to protect the external border cannot be members of the Schengen, Finnish Interior Minister Ratjan said. But such move is not legally possible according to European text. There is no provision in the Schengen framework for this kind of action. One state cannot unilaterally expel another one from the area. Marie-Laurie Bazile-Gachin, a law professor at the Leuven 3 University, told AF. successive cries. Ceuta, a territory 18.5 square kilometers in near enclave of Melilla, are Europe's only two land borders with Africa. During a similar surge in 2021, more than 10,000 migrants reached Ceuta from neighboring Morocco over the course of the 2 days during a diplomatic spat in the two countries. The row erupted after Spain decided to host medical treatment. A leader of a Polisario front, whose guerrilla fought a long war with Rabat over the independence of the Western Sahara region. So, let's just, for curiosity regions, let's just search up what is the population of Ceuta. Ceuta is an autonomous city of Spain and North African coast. So it's just on the North African coast, and their population is 83,000 people, and they just had 60,000 people enter the place. Incredible, or something, or 50,000, whatever it is. Don't even know why I came. Reuters reported at an enclave border they saw Moroccan police in riot gear using tear gas to disperse some of the people amassed near fences. Water cannons were deployed, and charred remains of bus and seven cars could be seen from clashes with crowd. On the other side, Spanish military vehicles lined up along sections of the border as dozens of migrants watched from hilltop in Morocco. Sleeping in parks on sidewalks. Rachid Sibiha, who leads the local workers association representing civil guard officers, described the situation as a serious humanitarian crisis, saying thousands of migrants, including unoccupied children, were left sleeping in parks and on sidewalks while others roamed the street aimlessly. It's chaotic. People are still coming. Some of the 41 people who died had drowned, CBS said, but some were also killed in stampede to cross the breakwater fence at the Tajara urban beach near border checkpoint for Morocco. The waters near the border fence were littered with boys and shoes and other belongings left behind. Amit Karim, a 33-year-old Moroccan, said he had crossed into the Ceuta because of the lack of jobs in his countries. Many people want to go to Europe, America, but they don't have opportunity, Karim said. Moroccan police deployed additional personnel, used water cannons, fired warning shots into the air to prevent migrants crossing into the Ceuta. Why is this happening? According to experts consulted by the AFP, there are several possible explanations. One would be rulings by the Spain Supreme Court on July 8th, which determined that the immediate return of a migrant without opening an administration expulsion procedure does not apply in the case of sea arrivals. Without a doubt, the July 8th ruling has played a role, but that doesn't explain the level of mobilization, which is very high, according to Ignacio Simbravo, a journalist specialized in migration in North Africa. The mass arrival could have been encouraged by the Spanish government's recent move to regularize people who arrived in country illegally, or that Spain's government could change to be replaced by one with firmer line on immigration. But both of these hypotheses are difficult to confirm. Where is Ceuta? Ceuta is a small Spanish autonomous city located near the Strait of Gibraltar. Tens of thousands returned to Morocco, says Madrid. More than 37,000 migrants have returned to Morocco from Spain's Ceuta enclave after a recent surge. France ready to support Spain. France stands ready to help Spain tackle a sudden influx of migrants. Macron said France stands ready to provide Spanish authorities with any support they may need should they request it. Thousands of migrants. Now the continued story from BBC.
Where is Ceuta, and why have so many people suddenly tried to swim there? These images are of thousands of migrants suddenly rushing towards Morocco's border with Ceuta, a tiny sliver of land that belongs to Spain. They swam across in such huge numbers that the border effectively collapsed. There was chaos. The swim isn't long, but some people clearly struggled, and several dozen have drowned. Those who did make it to shore, though, were euphoric.
No, Marruecos, viva España, viva!
So why Ceuta? Well, it's a spot where Europe and Africa meet directly, a stepping stone, something on the way to a better life. It's just a few square miles in size and with around 80,000 inhabitants. 50,000 more arriving in just one day was quite something. Spain, it's just a few square miles in size and with around 80,000 inhabitants. So 50,000 more arriving in just one day was quite something. Spain has now sent troops and police to help keep the peace and to reinforce the border. But it's still not clear why so many migrants suddenly rushed to Ceuta. A Spanish court did rule recently that anyone who swims across the border can't be automatically returned, so perhaps word spread. But there are also questions about what Morocco did or didn't do to stop people crossing. Right now, it's not happy with Spain because of Spain's relations with Algeria, not a friend of Morocco. Spain's government is playing that down because it needs help from Morocco now to be able to send people back there. Many have already gone, but many thousands more are still in Ceuta and unsure of what happens next.
So just here we have just a little. Ceuta's president Juan Jesus Vivas said arrivals amounted to around 70% of the city's population, which sits around 83,000, according to the latest local figure. Spanish Interior Minister told BBC its estimates were slightly lower, citing 50,000 arrivals since early hours of Thursday. And here we have more pictures of the arrivals. Here we have a video.
Increíble la situación. Increíble la situación ahora mismo.
That's that, and there you have it, folks. That has been your Hive report of the day. We will now take a look at some of the more videos. Latest. Here we have migrants brutally beat a man in Spain. Well, that's all we have for it. Well, we need to Spain. Let's go to videos. Here are more videos.
Now to an immigration and humanitarian crisis playing out in North Africa. Look at this. In just the past 24 hours, these are some of at least 60,000 migrants crossing the border between Morocco and two small Spanish territories. Look at that. Even braving water and other dangerous conditions. Their goal is to get into Europe. So far, 34 have died trying. Now, this is a map that helps us understand that area better. The two Spanish territories highlighted in red. That's where the Moroccan migrants are headed. The territories are the EU's only land borders with Africa, so Morocco doesn't officially recognize that enclave as Spanish territories, often refers to them as occupied land. So, Spain's Ministry of the Interior released this footage showing migrants returning from Spain to Morocco. Spain sent more than 25,000 of them back and says departures happen at a rate of about 150 people, get this, per minute. CBS News international reporter Aidan Stretch has more from Spain's southern coast.
Good morning. Spain's government has deployed its army as migrants have overwhelmed its border with Morocco in northern Africa. Over the last 48 hours, thousands of people, most of them Moroccans, have made the dangerous swim around seawalls and climbed fences separating Morocco from the Spanish territories of Ceuta and Melilla. The two enclaves sit on Morocco's northern coast, but are Spanish territory, making them the European Union's only land borders with Africa. Local officials have blamed the surge on a recent Spanish Supreme Court ruling, which makes it
Look at
hard
all
to
the
deter
garbage.
migrants arriving.
Do you see all the garbage in the back, folks? That's in because this is what happens when it's unchecked.
From Morocco by sea. Crossing the border does not mean free movement across Europe. To get across the channel to where we are now in mainland Spain, migrants would have to pass additional border controls. Still, the crossings have drawn scrutiny from conservative leaders across Europe, including Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who said she is prepared to take extraordinary measures to defend Italy's borders and its citizens. This is not the first time that Spain has faced a crisis like this. In 2021, Moroccan authorities relaxed border enforcement following a diplomatic dispute with Spain, allowing...
Well, there you have it, folks. We will now move on to Hives Gone Wild. But let's check on the bees, see what they're doing. Again, they're really favoring this side here. So let's feed them some food. Let's give them some food and see what they're going on. Feed the bees, everyone. Comment, feed the bees. Now let's take a look, go back to the main view, and we will take a look at some videos of the Fauci hearing.
You did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. And not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
You remember Greg Folkers? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based
He says
upon
that
my
for
rights
everything.
under the Fifth Amendment of the
He
Constitution.
says that for
Is
everything.
the answer. Do you remember Patricia Conrad? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
She was your personal assistant. And what were these individuals doing in the depth of the pandemic in November of 2020, when millions of Americans were suffering from COVID? What were they doing? I tell you what they're doing. Folkers was on your behalf soliciting and gathering information for a cash award. Let's look at it. We've got his email right here, right over my shoulder. Folkers says, I'm working on this nomination for the Dan David Award.
This guy, they need to put this guy in jail, man.
That you could share that delineates how we responded in new ways to COVID. He sends this to multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice,
he ruined relationships.
To answer based
he watched
my rights
people
under the Fifth
die
Amendment of the Constitution.
and didn't allow their family members to see them.
$900,000 cash award. And he got it because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Here they are over my shoulder. Besides the Dan David Award, you've got the Partnership for Public Service. You've got the Adelson Prize. You've got the Smith Several Time using federal over my shoulder. Here's all of them. The people that you use.
Here's another clip.
Any reasonable person who has followed his unhinged obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion. Therefore, although it pains me to do so, because of the respect I have for the legislative branch of government and my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
And he says that for everything. That's all he says. He pleads the fifth. Look at this.
It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people. I will make it my mission to make certain that every single one of those Democrats who did that will see that clip over and over and over again. Because there is no defense of what you did. You may have had a 50-plus year legacy of public service, but it ends in total and complete disgrace.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We need to have this video of him pleading the fifth. Fauci. We need to go to Google, YouTube. Like they ask him, is the carpet, what is the, Fauci asked.
Now to an immigration border between Morocco and two small
the hell?
Spanish territories. Look at that. Even braving water and other.
Check this out,
Mr. Chairman. Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color is the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respect.
He looks at the carpet and he was about to answer.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs. They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer.
It's disgusting.
Your questions.
Like we just need to.
It's because.
Let's just watch that again.
Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color is the carpet in front of you?
What a joke. What a freaking joke, people. All right. Let's move on to the next Hives Gone Wild. Here we have Kamala reveals her 2028
We
agenda.
need to revisit the Electoral College.
That's right.
We need to revisit the point of expanding the court to 13 justices like we have 13 district courts. We need to revisit, if they so want, statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C.
Yes.
If we regain control of this.
This is crazy. She just wants to pretty much do all sorts of crazy stuff. Chaos at Chuck E. Cheese. Children watch. Oh my God. Breaking news. Parents brawl while children watch at Chuck E. Cheese. Here we have a woman in purple getting attacked by another man. Then we have another woman on the floor getting choked out. Kids are crying. Someone's getting choked out. This is incredible. Incredible, everyone. This is what you get at Chuck E. Cheese now. All right. Wisconsin, do you realize this communist candidate Francisca Hong is nuts, right?
You once tweeted about defunding the police, and then you were asked whether you would sign that bill to defund the police. You said no.
If anyone's been defunding the police, it's been Robin Ross and the Republicans who have not been adequately funding shared revenue, and you have seen that local governments have had to make very difficult decisions, and I believe that as governor, that we want to make sure that we're prioritizing public safety, and I believe that those types of bills that could include more investment in the things that we know prevent crime. If you want to be tough on crime, you better be tough on the causes. Because the reality of this moment and the types of public safety systems that we have, I want us to be sensible and realistic, but we know now that the billions invested in the criminal legal system is not working. We are spending on incarcerating an individual more than tuition for UW-Madison. This is about making
Is this all she says?
local law enforcement. If you want to be tough on crime, you better be tough on causes.
Do you still long-term model?
I believe that we have to be serious about public safety, and I'm going to be a governor that is more serious than anyone else.
She said she wants to abolish police.
Up here, that we are focusing on lowering crime, getting guns off of our street, and making sure that folks who are incarcerated, which 90% of those folks will be going back to community, that we're lowering recidivism rate. And it's appalling to me that for folks who are working within our prisons, they have some of the highest suicide rates of any job and occupation. So this system is not working. If we want to be serious, we better be putting these billions into the things that we know prevent crime.
Well, there you have it, folks. Here we have another video. Holy shit, Somali woman in Minnesota starts harassing and recording white man.
Take a good look at the camera that's going to bring your Islamic ass to
Get out of her face.
You fuck your cousins. You're nothing but
Get out of her face. I'm sorry, you
Islamic piece of shit.
Get out of her face.
You're ugly.
You're a Somali dirt sport piece of shit.
You're a piece of shit.
No, I've seen what
That's
you
why you're
motherfuckers
walking
do. It's
up.
not
You're
wrong. It's your
dirty.
dentition. Y'all look the same. You're third world
dirty.
inbred piece of shit.
You're dirty.
Yeah, yeah.
Yellow.
No.
Is it so?
Being a third world dirt small that fuck your cousins.
You literally fuck your sister.
Oh, meow.
Look at you.
You can't record me in public.
Oh,
That's assault.
Okay.
that's assault.
Yeah.
Her phone's broken. Well, there you have it, folks. Here we have some sort of...
And what rights specifically concern you? Currently, rights to using toilets in public without having to pick which one to go into and not feel comfortable in any. Also, what about the EHRC? That's the bathroom. Oh yeah. So is that the disabled key? What the EHRC was just rolled out, and I think it's August 5th or August 2nd. They have to go in the toilets, right? Yeah. What bathroom do you use? Me personally, I use whichever one has a shorter queue, because I don't feel comfortable in either of them, so I just take my pick of the day. And can I ask you, like,
So she just, I mean, this is how it should be. She kind of has a good point. Or he or whatever this thing is. I don't know.
When did you realize
I think it's a
you
he.
were not really fitting in?
I think this thing would want it to be called a he.
I always did, like growing up.
Would you folks agree? I think you folks would agree.
I was
Comment down below what you think. The excavator operator asked her to get away from his machine and she refused. That's not a video. Make Spain great again.
Hola amigos, yo soy su new presidente, el señor Donaldo J. Trump.
Yes.
I'm here to deport
Viva la
all
Trump.
these illegal aliens from El Morocco. Ay, 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 amigos, why did you let them in? Oh, El Morocco is mucho loco and they stinko because they're a shitholio when you think about it, oh. Anyway, don't worry, oh. Me and Senor Tom Homano are going to deporto all these illegal alienos and make Spaino great again, oh. Comprende, muchachos. All you got to do is give us back the World Cup, oh, that we clearly won, oh, this summer, oh. And I'll get rid of all your illegal alienos and make Spaino great again, oh. Adios, pichachos. Y muchos nachos.
That's funny, whoever made that.
No podemos llamar a la policía ni a la Guardia Civil porque no dan abasto. Necesitamos
Terrified Ceuta woman pleads help.
de verdad, esto es indignante. Yo estoy rodeada, tengo miedo. ¿Cómo no voy a tener miedo? Si me van a necesitar ayuda. No se puede. Esto no se puede, de verdad. No se puede, necesitamos ayuda. Rocío, callaros. Estoy temblando. Es que de verdad, esto es para vivirlo. Esto es para vivirlo como mujer. Esto es para vivirlo. Esto es una invasión. Han empezado por Ceuta, pero esto es la frontera a España, la frontera a Europa. Hoy ha sido Melilla, mañana será Canarias, pasado será Tarifa. De verdad, es que no hay derecho.
Oh my, well, there you have it, folks. People are outraged by this, what's going on in Ceuta. And, yeah, two men get into their fights, then their dogs start fighting.
Holy fuck. Holy shit. Dude, he fucking clocked him. Holy shit. Oh, damn.
Whose dog is who?
Holy fuck. Holy shit. Dude, he fucking clocked him. Holy shit. Oh, damn.
That's insane. Insane. Another Alaska sex offender down.
We're gonna figure this whole thing out.
Get him. Oh, yeah. Come on, go. After, come on.
What the hell was that?
All right, what's up, guys? This is Psycho Joe Breeze, and fucking now 3 times we caught him sex offender here in Fairbanks, Alaska. So sick, was hiding out in the apartment trying to meet a 13-year-old girl. We caught him, admitted everything to us that he wanted to have sexual contact with her. I've been trading and receiving child pornography during his babies and toddlers. Here are the cops right now taking him because he's under a total of 17 years of prison in his life. He's got to go back for a very fucking long time. And yeah, dude, Fairbanks, Alaska, Joe Breeze, sex offender. Yeah, has some stuff as young as babies on his phone right now. Total fucking monster. This guy's a fucking molester. And we don't condone for reporting it, actually, but here are the cops. Fairbanks PD doing a good job. I hope he can fuck his phone.
he was in a standoff with them. But yeah, he had we don't condone this. We're reporting on this. He had up to his neck, and yeah. Cool. Dude.
Incredible.
All right, cool.
Here you have evidence of demonic possession you've been looking for.
You're cute too.
I'm sorry, really sorry. No, it's my fault.
It is your fault.
Yeah, I know it's my fault. That's why I'm saying sorry. Eh?
She thinks it's cute that her driver almost hit my kid. And she thinks she needs to take a video of it. Instead of apologizing like a saint.
Stopping in the middle of the road is gonna help?
You being a bitch is gonna help?
I didn't say anything.
I don't know, calm down. Calm down.
It's okay, I'm sorry.
He apologized.
It's my fault.
He apologized.
Yeah, I know.
And you know what? If that didn't upset me, but the bitch ass hoe
Sorry.
that told me to calm down, what I'd like you to do is apologize instead of being a bitch.
You're calling me sorry, but you're calling me a bitch. I'll set an
I'm
example.
sorry. My kids can't hear me calling you a bitch.
Your window's open.
They can't hear me because they're listening to Kids Bop.
Yeah, that's how
My kids can't hear me calling you a bitch.
Your window's open.
They can't hear me because they're listening to Kids Bop.
Okay, well, she had to mention that they're listening to Kids Bop, so it's like it's safe music, for sure. You know it's safe music. Mom arrested for drinking while driving with her child in the car after speeding near Arca.
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Officer Fitch. I'm with the University of Arkansas Police Department. The reason I'm pulling you over is you got to my liar going 44 and posted 25. Good, you get your driver's license with you. Real quick, I know it's the 4th. Have you had anything to drink today?
I have had like
Yo, what kind of? I look at your eyes. Come out here and just do a test for me. Make sure that I know that you're safe to drive. Quick. You can just step to the front and just face me. This test is keep your arms flat by your side. You just follow your finger to your eyes. Your eyes only up to your head, alright? And you're gonna follow my finger with your eyes. Your eyes only up to your head, alright?
Wow. That's what happens when you drive under. But this is so stupid. Like, why didn't they just breathalyze it? What the hell is? What is this?
So you
What the hell is
continue
this?
the test. You definitely have an opportunity to history if you want to. But you gotta see what the other tests do.
Why don't they just breathalyze it?
Obviously, you'd rather go home. But that's not the question. The question is, are you safe to drive? And if you're safe to drive, are you in the fence or are you way over it?
It's called the walk and turn test.
it's not something I could have done even.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
I've not had one drink, which I wish I would have taken different and then had a drink first.
No, I understand. Quick, just take you around your face like you and bring your arm behind it.
Or she was drinking in the car? Ah, this is so, like, it's crazy. 79-year-old anti-ICE rider gets arrested by state troopers.
The people united will never be defeated. The people
United will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. Remember that, people.
the people united.
He stopped. He's not saying it anymore. Why you stop? People united will never be divided. Oh, they're just taking him out. They're just taking him out. Look, they just picked her up. Did you guys see that? Yeah, all right, sir. We're just gonna. All right, we've had enough of this. All right, there you go. There you go. He's like, all right, you know what? You know, just get him up. All right, now we have here by speech by Spanish.
Social media has become a failed state, a place where laws are ignored and crime is by disinformation about life.
It's not recent. We leave it alone. The Seattle Police Chief Shannon dismissed by Mayor
information. Members of Seattle City Council had to step in and speak to the media about the mayor's request for the police chief to resign because the mayor wouldn't do that. Congressman Brenji Sinha has been trying to track down the mayor all day. Brenji got a lot of luck, and even the council and some council staff pretty sure or unsure of what happened.
Yeah, we have spent the whole day here asking questions. We've been talking to staffers, been told by some of them maybe there will be a press conference or a statement or a video statement. We didn't get anything from the mayor today. I certainly didn't, but the council members also didn't get much, and they were not happy about it.
Nothing was communicated to me.
We heard rumors yesterday.
My wife was working upstairs in the office and yelled down to me. Police chief was fired?
I don't have the latest information.
Seattle City Council has spent the last 24 hours wondering about conflicting information and reports that police chief shot.
Well, that's interesting. We're way over time. Let's watch our final video. Hives gone wild with the day. Spanish launches new method to clear Ceuta. I think it's AI. All right. Kroger employees swarm alleged shoplifter take back their cart. All right. Now, folks, look at the bees. They're everywhere. Let's give them some more food. So, and watch them just move along. Look at that. Look at all the bees. They're just getting out of the way. All the food's coming in. Give another squirt here. All right. Let's now look at the final story of the day. Bee story by Cornell Chronicle. Insights into bee biology could ease U.S. rules for our organic honey. Strict regulations have prevented continental U.S. beekeepers from participating in the lucrative organic honey market, but new research finds that bees' actual habits make certain rules too extreme. The findings potentially provide evidence for federal agencies to ease restrictions and open organic markets to U.S. producers. Consumers are willing to pay 20 to 30% more for organic certified honey than non-organic certified honey, said Scott McArt, Associate Professor of Entomology in College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, a senior authority of new study published in July 29th in Journal Science of Total Environment. If organic honey was possible to produce in the continental U.S., it would open up huge market for our country's beekeepers who are really struggling right now. Current organic certification guidelines set by the U.S. Department of Agriculture require apiaries to have 6.4 kilometer to close to 4 miles of buffer zone of organic, certified, or natural land for bees to forage. Additionally, the Food and Drug Administration has set standards for pesticides contamination and called maximum residue limits that U.S. organic products must meet. It is very hard to find 6.4 kilometer radius of fully organic, certified, or natural land in the U.S., McArt said. The policy had effectively closed markets to country's beekeeper, except for 3 producers in Hawaii. As a result, the U.S. imports most organic honey from foreign countries, such as Brazil. In a new study that authors produced honey with pesticide contamination comparable to certified organic honey by applying organic colony management practice on farms where natural and semi-natural habitats dominate the surrounding landscape. Furthermore, related work by the project team tracked bees from their hives to see how far they typically travel when they forage. They determined that the bees' median foraging distance was closer to 750 meters, far less than the organic guidelines require. Our research shows that beekeepers in the northeast U.S. may only need a small fraction of the land to produce home with pesticide contamination as low as imported USD organic honey, says Ben DeMorse. 1 in 5 beekeepers already manage their hive with organic methods, so with revised organic standards, many could still benefit economically, said DeMorse, who worked in McArt's lab while conducting his research, who is currently a doctoral student at the Auburn University Bee Center in Auburn, Alabama. Those existing organic methods require beekeepers to prevent devastating varroa mites by treating their colonies with naturally occurring organic compounds such as organic acids or concentrated hops from Indie Pale Ale beer that don't leave beeswax, combs, or honey with long-term chemical residues. Conventional colonies are commonly treated with chemical insecticides amitraz to prevent varroa mites, the most damaging honeybee pest and main cause of honeybee collapse. U.S. beekeepers lost 56% of their colonies in 2024 and 39% last year due to colony deaths. Chemical residue, often from amitraz, can get stored long-term in honeycomb wax, which is most energetically costly part of hive for bees to produce, so beekeepers reuse them year after year. In order to follow organic process, a hive's comb wax must be built by bees in organic certified conditions, so they don't contain chemical residue. In a study, DeMorris and colleagues began with empty boxes in 2023 and then added bees. By the following year, the bees had built new wax honeycombs and colonies began producing honey. The team established 72 colonies using organic management practices on 6 large organic farms in Northeast to test whether organic farms in this region provided sufficient forage for organic honey production. Over a 3-kilometer radius, each colony was surrounded by land that was between 56% to 93% natural, such as forests or wetlands, or semi-natural, often fallen farm fields. In 2024, the team screened the honeybees produced for 96 pesticides residue and compared it with 20 store-bought brands of organic and conventional honey. When we looked at the pesticide residues in honey produced from those colonies compared to certified organic imports and the certified organic Hawaiian honeys, they were low and comparable, McArt said, with one only northeastern sample exceeding maximum residue limits. Residue limits from conventional honeys were much higher. This study demonstrates that it's possible to produce clean honey that could meet standards for USDA organic certification in continental U.S., even though apiaries were placed in relatively small organic farms. Lopez Urba is a principal investigator of a 3-year, $1.5 million U.S. In the next step, the researchers hope to expand these tests to other parts of the country. Well, there you have it, folks. Amitraz used in beekeeping has effects in the honeycomb, and and apparently they found that honeybees don't travel. They only travel average 750 meters instead of the 5 kilometers that has been recently thought. So this is very interesting. But we're way over time now. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We will now end the show. And will be your final episode of the week. We don't stream on Saturday, Sunday, and we go back live again on Monday. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a great